I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, December the 7th, brought to you in part by the 15th Annual United States Cattlemen's Association's annual meeting that's going to be happening this weekend, December the 8th through the 10th at the Doubletree Downtown Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. Going to have a Cattlemen's Forum along with it. If you guys can possibly make that, I encourage you to do so. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the moderator and try to help facilitate some discussion with several of the guests. We've got some pretty influential speakers that's going to be there, and some that'll stir some interest. Jim Mundorf from Lonesome Lands. If you've watched those videos, he's going to be there. Trey Wasserberger from Sustainable Beef is going to be there telling us about the new packing plant in western Nebraska. Going to have several other people there. Forrest Roberts is going to be there with Central Stockyards giving us an update on the Fed Cattle Exchange and their efforts to encourage and promote more negotiated trade in your fat cattle arena. So we're looking forward to that, and be sure and come to that if you can, or keep track with it online. Choice boxes Plunge, and of course we talked about that on our last visit, or we mentioned the market that your choice boxes were down $6.60 to start the week out on Monday afternoon's close there. That's a jolt, guys. And then they were down a little bit more, just about 10% of that, just 66 cents on Tuesday's close. But this is the lowest that choice boxes have been all year long. And in our fat cattle markets, as high as it's been for several years, going back to 2015. You know, I understand that it's our turn, it's the cattle people's turn to make some money now. Your packers' gross margins have tumbled. Of course, you know, it was high time that they probably did. They made all-time record profits all through the pandemic with the way that they handled their business there. But now, of course, it's a cyclical type deal. You know, they're not making a lot of money, but I don't know that they're losing money. You see several reports that they're in the red, and they're negative, and they're still slaughtering over 650,000 head of cattle every week. I would doubt that. If you guys have ever toured those big, you know, modern packing plants, you see where they're pulling out spinal cords and different little things here and there, and the other place. If you're in a cow plant, that they're pulling out the fetuses for any of those cows that were bred. You know, they make a lot of money on that little stuff on the side, and I don't know that any of these projections on whether they're what their profit is or what their break-even is include those. So you know, if they're killing over 650,000 head a week, you can bet that they're probably doing okay. But I know that they've got product promised. Well, that goes into your reporting of box beef cutout values. And what exactly is that? Well, that's kind of a culmination of all the different cuts that they have in the carcass and the values for each of those cuts. Well, they can't have a negotiated trade on each of those cuts, or how many do you need of this, and have a negotiated trade. It's basically a menu, and then your wholesalers or end users, they purchase off of that menu, and then the packers kind of raise and lower that price depending on how much product that they have on hand or how much they're wanting to move. So it's not really a negotiated trade on those box beef cutouts that we talk about, and we put probably too much, you know, behind when we're talking about it. In fact, what we see of the box beef cutout values, those prices, that includes less trade than what we see in your negotiated fed cattle arena. A lot less. Most all of your box beef sales are out front. their contract deals. They've got formula deals. They do big orders and then fill them over time and things like that. So your packers can raise and lower those spot market cutout values when they need to, basically. But they do move more product whenever they lower it. And we talked at the end of last week, whenever they lowered the prices, we did see a little bit more movement, but it's still not near the movement that we see, on out front purchasing for contract deals. So are they bringing that down for a reason? To try to stunt the fat cattle market? Well, typically your box beef cutout values always get low right before Christmas, so we're seeing that happen. Now it did affect the board on Tuesday in a big way, and it could be because your daily livestock report that's put out by CME featured this story about how box beef cutout values are down, and people that trade, they don't really understand everything that goes into all your inputs and everything that goes with your cattle and all that. But when they see beef and they see lower, that sticks in their mind. And I think it probably had something to do with the board being down so much on Tuesday. Your fat cattle were down, or live cattle futures were down big. Feeder cattle were also down big, despite corn being down a little bit more. But cash prices, at least on feeder cattle, still rolling pretty good. But I've been, I'm always bullish and I'm always wanting the market to be better. But things get up this high, it gets kind of scary, guys. And I think you need to always have yourself protected and be on the lookout for a down market whenever you're riding this high of a wave. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. December live cattle futures down $1.67 at 150-155. February down $2.20 at 153.62. Your back months down 132 to down 195. Feeder cattle for January down 197 at 180-180. March down 222 at 184.15. Your back months on feeder cattle were all down big from $1.75 to $2.25. Corn was down 3 1/4 cents a bushel at 625.5. Beans up 17 1/4 cents at 14.55. Also, that I didn't mention, your live cattle futures being down that much, that's going to bring about some basis jumping. Guys that are hedged up, which everybody's hedged up, and most of them with just a true short hedge. Whenever they see the board go down that much, and we're trading with fat cattle that are in the mid 150s, and your December futures contract is 151.5, the difference is the basis, and they get to put that in their pocket. That helps them reach their break evens or their profit potentials there whenever they see that. And when you see your futures market sluggish like this, like it is a lot, that helps your hedged cattle feeder, and that makes them want to take the market that they get offered earlier in the week. Now, we didn't really see any fat cattle trade yet this week confirmed. I did hear rumors that we did see some 156 in Nebraska. Well, that's going to be on the weaker side. No, not a whole lot lower, but probably a buck lower. And we hate to see your fat cattle market losing any ground at all, or losing that stamina whenever our calves and feeders are selling so high, but the basis jumping causes a lot of that. The only thing that we saw confirmed direct negotiated fed cattle trading in 5 area was in Nebraska, just 200 head at 247 dress. Now that would be steady, but if indeed we did see several late in the day succumb to that 156, and like I said, a lot of it due to basis jumping, well, then that's going to be on the weaker side, and it might be tough for the Southern Plains to maintain the 155 also. Box beef cutout values, like I mentioned, were lowest so far this year on choice. 240, 265, down 66. Selects were down 197 at 219.44. Slaughter still running at a good pace, 255,000 just through the first 2 days of the week. That's just 1,000 less than last week. 10,000 more than the same week a year ago. I'd like to give you a DV auction production sale report periodically here. We start getting into production sale season. You guys know that DV auction is the reason for this report. That's my employer, and puts the, that we have all Cattle Market Central, National Beef Wire, everything is based from DV auction. DV auction's bread and butter is production sales, bull sales, replacement type sales, and we're starting to get into them. We had a lot of them this fall. We'll have a ton of them this spring, but I'll give you our production sale report for November, just in our production sales, not counting the commercial cattle auctions that we're in every week or multiple times a week. This is just production sale reports. We had 15,000 bids, 2,900 lots sold, and it added up to be $10.2 million of sales there, just on our production sales, and that's just through the DV auction console, the online bids. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Tuesday sitting at 178.12, up 97 cents. So like I said, we've continued to see markets going higher, and Tuesday is getting to be kind of a high point in the week because we have a lot of regional type sales, and a lot of them in the northern plains that have really good markets, and Tuesday has kind of gotten to be a high point in the week every week whenever those markets are having sales, and a lot of them don't have sales every week all year long. We'll be leaving Las Vegas, so hopefully more alive than the movie, but going to be headed back home just to empty out the suitcase and fill it back up and head to Nashville to the U.S. Cattlemen's Association meeting. Had a good trip in Las Vegas. Enjoyed my time there like I always do, and I only go during the finals there, but got to see a friend commit matrimony on Tuesday. I found it odd that the people at the Grand Buffet had never seen anybody eat their weight in peel and eat shrimp, so that was interesting too. But give you some of the markets that we saw on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri, DV auction customer there, 3,200 head on offer through the ring. Another 450 head at their in-house video that they have pretty much every week now. It's seamless that the way they do that with help from DV auction. Your market on steer calves was steady to $4 lower. Heifer calves were steady. Yearlings were steady in a light test. I did see a stick out deal on some yearling steers. 59 head of 900-pound steers bring 173 in south central Missouri. Another good sale was Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma, about 3,200 head of feeders there, and then another 200 or 300 cows, so it would hit their 3,500 they were expecting that we talked about on our last visit. But Beaver County Stockyards had a hell of a sale on Tuesday, and you look at this automated market report. I'm going to pick out a weight in the steers and a weight in the heifers that stuck out to me. 642 head of 6-weight steers in Beaver, Oklahoma bring 198.05 on the weighted average. That's all of them put together, guys. That is really impressive, especially in the southern plains that deep. You look down in the heifers, 438 head of 5-weight heifers, average 564, the weighted average price of 175.82. Pretty impressive there. Your Zoetis stick out sale of the day come from a sale that doesn't usually sell on a Tuesday. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas had a special value added sale on Tuesday, and it was a humdinger. But you look at this automated market report here, you see 433 head, 505-weight steers, average 555 with a weighted average price of 205.85. 645 head of 6-weight steers, average 646 with a weighted average price of 195.73. 544 head of 7-weight steers, average 740 with a weighted average price of 189.01, and we'll tell you in a minute what helped those out quite a bit. But on the heifers, 406 head, 5-weight heifers average 551, weighted average price of 184.93. Several stick-out sales there. How about Unionville Livestock Market in Unionville, Missouri? They had a good sale on Tuesday, including a premier consignment. Rock and R cattle, Lucerne, Missouri, had 6 loads of steers in there. There was 362 head of them. They averaged 855 pounds. They sold 1 load at a time, but the average price on them was $183.83. Pretty good deal for steers weighing over 8.5, and those would be backgrounded cattle. Beaver County Stockyard sells 71 head of 585-pound calves, bring $2.23 a pound, weighing close to 6, guys, not on the light side of the 5s. They weighed 585. How about Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, that value-added special? I told you those 7-weight steers averaged really good. What helped them? 80 head value-added steers weighed 717 at 208.60. Wow. But that was not the most impressive quote that I saw all day on Tuesday. Your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. They had a huge consignment from Jim Waring out of Ree Heights, South Dakota. You might remember that town. That's famous for being the home of the Etbauer brothers, and I'm here at the National Finals Rodeo. Found that to be interesting, but he brings over 20 loads of cattle in there himself, and all on off of grass there, guys, but sells 250 head in one swath. They weigh 918 at 196 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.